Ladies and gentlemen, guests, delegates, members of the board, a very warm welcome to you all. It is a great pleasure that we welcome you to Trieste, to OberMUN 2018's edition. I'm Giada Bennati, and I will announce today this great event. It takes courage, you know. Breaking boundaries of languages, ethnicity, nationalities takes courage. But that's what a moon aims to. And that's exactly the concept from which OberMUN was born from. A model of United Nations experiences dozens of culture in just a few days. Young people simulates the sessions of our international diplomacy in United Nations, crossing geographies, challenging tensions, and finding a resolution to global issues. So, beyond the committee room, there's a dream. And I assure you that on the outside of this room, to read the world becomes our duty. Now, I do hate to start with a cliche, believe me, but the truth is that the most reasonable cause which brings us all here today is the very fact that we're capable of making this. We know that. And someone proved that. Our special founders of the project originally, and someone, our four ones, crazy one, I would add, stubborn enough to decide to play the game again. And someone, tens and tens of us, determined and focused enough to make it work. Now I'm glad to announce the chorus of our school. A big applause. Thank you, maestro, and thank you, chorus. Now, it is our pleasure to introduce our very first promoter, the headmaster of our school, Professor Maria Cristina Rocco. Please welcome her with a big applause.
Good morning to everybody. I'm happy to have been defined a promoter because, well, I think that the feeling that I have with the students is a very good one, and the purpose of my role and of my work is that of sustaining their ideas and new projects, all right? Like this one. Well, this is the second edition, as we already said, of OberMUN. For me, it's a great pleasure to welcome all of you here in Trieste today. Last year's edition was a really successful one, and it was an experience that allowed our young students to develop their knowledge about international diplomacy and to learn how important it is to find solutions to problems through debate, which means actually that you support your position, your ideas, but you respect, above all, at the same time, the different points of view of the other people, of the delegates of different countries. I think that today this is one of the most important things that people need to practice in everyday life. Peaceful confrontation in order to reach mutual and shared goals for our world, for our society. Today's society, in fact, has to face and find solutions to big issues, such as immigration, or how to develop economy without destroying our planet, or how to spread a culture of respect of life and of all human beings. And we believe that projects like OberMUN are a first step for young people to better understand international problems, a great opportunity to meet new people, new friends, to know new cultures and different opinions, to learn how to debate, but most of all, to grow together. And if we think about our project, about the difficulties we have in trying to make this idea come true, I can say that to prove that big things come out of cooperation, well, if we had been left alone in this adventure, we wouldn't have been able to realize OberMUN. So we talked to other people, we looked for support, we were lucky, and we met people who gave credit to our students and who believed in their enthusiasm. So we thank first of all the Regione Friuli Venezia Giulia and the Comune of Trieste, that are the co-organizers of the event, and the people of their staffs who have worked and will work in the next 3 days so hard to help us make this wish come true. We thank the University of Trieste, which gave us the patronage. And we thank the sponsors, Fondazione Brovedani, Trieste Trasporti, Jotun, Club 41, Pineta del Carso, Copa Alleanza 3.0, and Dili Café. They supported in different ways OberMUN and made it possible. Well, I wish everybody now, delegates, members of the staff and members of the organization, teachers, guests, a good work. Hope you will spend a pleasant time here in Trieste and maybe come back again to visit and to know better our city. And, well, good work, and see you again here on Sunday to see what the results will be. Good work.
Thank you. We're introducing now our first head organizer, Arkia Gassempur.
Honorable chairs, esteemed delegates, distinguished guests, teachers and members of the staff, fellow members of the board, good morning. I am Arkia Gassempur and I have had the pleasure of working on the realization of OberMUN 2018, made possible also thanks to the essential support of our two territorial co-organizators, two institutions that have provided us, among the rest, with the stunning locations where our event is taking place. The first edition of our project has left an indelible mark and has encouraged me to get more involved in discussions about international matters, but, above all, has deeply inspired me with its motto, "The future depends on what you do today." The future depends on what you do today, and, as a matter of fact, Albert Einstein once said, "The distinction between the past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." The past and the future are nothing but projections in our minds. Really, the only moment that exists is now, the eternal present moment. Hence, what really matters is what you do in the current time. Carpe diem usque ad astra reads this year's motto. So seize the moment till you reach the stars. Catch the opportunity that is upon you. Performing the role of a UN member in a committee that discusses topics ranging from disarmament to human rights to cultural organization is something out of the ordinary school routine. Projects like this teach important skills such as time management, negotiation, diplomacy, but also tact, which is, according to Isaac Newton, the knack of making a point without making an enemy. In our world, we all live in different situations and circumstances, and this is the cause of many controversies and tensions within humanity. Since often it seems incredibly difficult to understand the other's point of view and opinions, inevitably ending up in discordances. Some discordances, however, have tougher consequences than others. Borders, walls, discrimination, trade sections, and sadly wars. So tact has an important role in diplomacy. One must choose the words to use with carefulness. Words are extraordinary. They can be powerful, meaningful, but also meaningless. So please choose your words carefully and make your words count. Diplomacy is fundamentally working with people, bringing people together to deal with difficult issues. A constructive approach to diplomacy doesn't mean relinquishing one's rights. It means engaging with one's counterparts on the basis of equal footing and mutual respect, to address shared concerns and achieve shared objectives. For these reasons, I utterly believe in the power and potential of OberMUN. 3 days are nothing in comparison to a lifetime, but spending even this very small amount of time on such a relevant experience is, in my opinion, enough to make a difference in the world. On the whole, I am fully aware that not everyone in this room will become a politician or a diplomat, but I firmly believe that everyone is going to become a mature adult aware of his surroundings and of what is going on in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Arkia. In the support of the internationality of this project, it's the time of another head organizer. An applause for Matteo Baricchio.
Honorable Chair, esteemed delegates, and dear guests, it's a pleasure for me to be here today in the best of head organizer. I'm even glad and proud of presenting the second edition of this project, OberMUN 2018. Overcoming thousands of difficulties and facing many different issues, finally, here we are, sitting in front of its large audience and ready to start this new, exciting experience. Now I would like to explain the reasons that lead me to face this hard challenge and the importance that OberMUN could have for every one of you. I firmly believe in this project, and now I'll tell you why. It's difficult to illustrate what OberMUN means for me in few words. It is first of all an opportunity, a chance to hold our face with the pedantic books and look at the huge world, which expands around us. It is an occasion to bring out the best in us to reveal our hidden spirit. I would like to focus not only on what I learned in the previous month organizing the event, but even on the values that OberMUN is able to establish in our mindset and even in our heart. I would like to tell where my ideas about the project found their roots. I'm talking about the virtues that Albert Einstein spread in his famous text, Ideas and Opinions. Cooperation, unity, a sense of responsibility were exalted by the German physicist nearly 60 years ago. He underlined that these values, unfortunately, don't belong to human nature, inclined on the pursuit of selfish interest. But even showed how these values are essential to preserve the life in all its forms. Preserving life means to avoid wars and all the other dreadful atrocities which are still happening today, but even solving the issues that one day could hurt us. This is the reason why we need to consolidate these values in our mindset, and due to their unnatural existence, we have to learn it. Instruction should have the purpose of making them grow in the heart of everyone. I did this digression only to show that OberMUN is an instrument to spread and consolidate the values of collaboration and responsibility, something which Einstein was looking for during his last years. According to his position, it is essential to complete the instruction of the individual, add these new aspects on the academic notions that he learns during school lessons. It becomes fundamental to give the student a 360 degrees instruction and to reinforce in him the values which, one day, could turn humanity into the right way. Most philosophers divided reality between human mind and nature around it. They develop in parallel, so we have to adapt our mindset on what's happening outside. This is the only way to survive. When changes become fast, we have to hurry up. As Darwin said, the one who is going to survive is not the stronger, but the one who is able to adapt fast to changes. This is what humanity should do in 2018. Be aware that the world around us is changing. And so we must change our mindset in order to be able to face these new challenges that the world is presenting. I see many flags right there, but now we are united in the name of something bigger, United Nations. Today we're not single states, but something more. We're like a huge, unique country without borders. Now we're not Italian, not Austrian, not Bosnian. We are citizens of the world. We should be aware of this. The importance of being citizen of the world is underestimated by most people. Belonging to a global organization like United Nations allow your mind to communicate, to discover, to implement new ideas, to amplify our horizons. We are an army. We fight using peace, our minds, our ideas, to defeat the most alarming issues. International relationships are essential to preserve life. The importance of them was underlined even in 1795 by Immanuel Kant in his Perpetual Peace. The existence of an international legislation is fundamental to govern the different countries' attitudes and to preserve the natural rights which belong to everyone. I mention Kant because I think that his philosophical thought is terribly actual. He understood 200 years ago what the whole humanity hasn't totally understood yet. I believe in this project. I believe in OberMUN. It is a way to spread and to develop the values of cooperation, unity, and comparing. My purpose when I was waiting for this role was to make these values consolidate in the mindset of every one of you. Our ideas, putting together, not only will make us aware of the global issues, but it will change the destiny of the earth. Chair, delegates, and guests, be aware of the importance of your single idea because it will change the entire world. We are more important than what we can imagine. Thank you.
Truly, thank you, Matteo. We're introducing now a very special guest, actually an international guest, the president and administrator of companies of international fame operating in the maritime sector. Enrico Sommer, please come up.
Good morning, everybody. Let me thank the organizing committee for inviting me today at the opening ceremony of OberMUN 2018. It is both my pleasure and honor to be here, since I follow what you did last year during the previous edition through the media, and because on the same days I was having some business meetings with foreign guests at Savoy Hotel, and I was glad to see young students committed and interested in such an important experience and topics. I'm here since I have the honor to represent the Democratic Republic of Turkey as a General Honorary Consul. I cannot see the Turkish flag, but okay, don't worry. With jurisdiction over the regions of Friuli, Venezia Giulia, and Trentino Alto Adige. The Consular Corps of Trieste, that I chaired for 6 years as a doyen, it is a very important one, with a reference to seniority and solidity. If you just think that the first consular representation in town dates back to 1732, with the consulate of the Greek-Turkish nation under the Ottoman Empire. Today, the Consular Corps of Trieste is made of a large and stable presence, representing 33 countries, which is a prime example of the main feature of our town, a multi-ethnic crossroads and a melting pot of people, all of them connected to the major economic drive of Trieste, its port, in particular its custom-free port. One of the primary targets of a diplomatic corps is linking people that are different in terms of culture, race, and tradition. The United Nations is the most noble example of dialogue among countries. Visiting its headquarters in New York, whose building, by the way, doesn't belong to the United States of America because the site lies on international territory, is an exciting experience that everyone should have. I strongly suggest everybody, if you are in New York, take some time and visit the United Nations. You have to book it in advance. This international institution, like other supranational establishments, sometimes is criticized or considered not so efficient. But a short visit would be enough to understand the major role it plays in unifying people and keeping peace. It's very easy to criticize or to see that some institutions, international institutions, are not efficient. Of course, it's another thing, but think about the European community. How many people are discussing about the efficiency of the European community? Go to Brussels, visit the parliament. You will see the hard job has been done, everybody is doing over there. Starting from 1954 in Roma, it's a dream of our fathers, of your grandfathers. So these are the real important things to grow our countries and our community. I'm confident that what you will do over the next few days will be a successful practice, because the more you know, the more you understand the complexity and the essential. All of you, by attending these high schools, this kind of high schools, and being here today, represent the future leaders of society. It is up to you to preserve, update, and improve what the institution of the United Nations has done and that you receive as a legacy. Thank you all. I'm sure you will have a productive and successful work, but also some fun. Enjoy.
The more you know, the more you understand. Keep in mind it. Now, directly from the MIB School of Management in Trieste, MIB professor, please, Stefano Pilotto, come up.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, authorities, Mrs. Rocco, dear students, a diplomatic simulation is for sure a smart game. It's a chance for all of you to compare your skills and to discover what is diplomacy. In our region, we also have a school of diplomacy. Maybe some of you in the future will attend the School of Diplomacy that we do have in Gorizia on the University of Trieste. We train young people that will intervene in the global competition of diplomacy. Mrs. Rocco and Mr. Summer reminded you what are the pillars of this. First of all is the respect. Respect is a pillar. We do not have an international dialogue without respect, even though we do have conflicts, and we need to resolve the conflicts. Only 1 year ago, a couple of you were present in a simulation that we did in Trieste to celebrate the 60 years of the Rome Treaties concerning the European Economic Community. It was a fantastic challenge in order to write a Trieste Charter on European Union. And we knew how many internal conflicts we do have in Europe nowadays. Now, you will discuss about several topics. We'll go through general topics like probably climate change in the world, the energy problem, the nuclear proliferation, the security issues, the economic development, the social issues, the cultural and religious issues. Here we see some of the flags. We do have approximately 200 countries in this world, and every country has identity, culture, tradition, history. 3 days will be a great challenge for all of you. I really suggest you to do your best, to study a lot, not to sleep too much, and to read about the roots. Diplomacy needs solutions, of course, but solutions have, of course, their origins in the culture. You remember when Salvador de Madariaga, several years ago, said that Europe needs an institution in which, of course, political approach should have the supremacy over the economic approach, but cultural approach should have the supremacy over the political approach. So culture is on the back. You go back to the history. You go back to the identity of people and to the geography. You will discover history, geography. You will discover, of course, even literature. Diplomacy needs inspiration. Inspiration means also poetry. You should become the poet of diplomacy. Try also to figure out how to express yourself. It's not only an exercise of history and geography and political and economic approach. It's also an exercise of communication. Try to find accurate expression, even though you interact in a language which is not probably your language, because you interact in English, but try to find expression that should convince the others. This is the great challenge, to figure out a basic pillar on which you can build your solution, and after that, try to convince the others about your proposal. And if you make some mistakes, and it's possible because we are all human beings, and if you make some mistakes, do not lie. You should realize that you make a mistake and maybe change your line and your point of view, because the others will tell you why you are making some mistakes and why you should probably change your point of view. My dear friends, I'm very happy to be here, and I thank you for the invitation. I am honored that our city, Trieste, which has a growing role, in my opinion, in the international relations, is hosting such a brilliant and distinguished moment of thinking and of comparison. I remind you that last year, Trieste was the town in which it was organized a very important summit. In July, we had the head of state, some of the head of states and governments of European countries discussing about the Balkan region, which is quite close to us. And Italy had to organize it, and Rome was enough brilliant not to do it in Rome, but to do it in Trieste, because Trieste is very sensitive to that. Probably some of you are also coming from some of the Balkan countries, and they can give a contribution to the general understanding of the international dimension. So Trieste, as also Mr. Summer was reminding, has an important port. The port has a role. We are going toward the development of the new Silk Road, what the Chinese are proposing as one belt, one road. Trieste might have a growing role in the future. And Trieste needs a new generation of diplomats, not only Trieste, but Italy. This is my wish. OberMUN may represent a new school of thoughts for all of you, and let's hope that some of you will get enough passion to go on in the future and to give to our country the solution that our country deserves. Thank you very much.
Okay. We're introducing now another special guest, directly from UAV University of Venice, International School of Transport and Logistics. An applause for Marco Mazzarino.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks. I would like to thank, first of all, the head of high school to invite me and all these beautiful young people, which is a very excellent organization. For me, it's the first time here, but I really give you my congratulations, my compliments to very effective organization and very effective programs. I'm afraid I'm not in written stuff, but being a professor, I prepare a few slides. And I ask the organizer to throw me anything you have in mind if I will be too long, please. So I'm here just to give you a contribution, hopefully sensible, for especially for your future, I guess. It is important to underline that these initiatives, very beautiful initiatives, must have basically an added value. Should create an added value for your future, okay? Even though it's very beautiful initiative, we all have to move forward, to look into the future, to create value for your future, because the future is in your hand, okay? And so my first slide is just to underline this point. Please, next one. This point, from school to jobs, looking forward, moving forward. This is a very important point. You're talking about here about international cooperation. So, so far as I can tell, I can give you some contribution, a very pragmatic, very, let's say, real-life contribution, what we do as a university. I'm a professor of transport logistics, so I can tell you about my sector, which is, let me say, among the most important sector, mobility, transport, logistics, and so on, supply chain management, and so on, at the international level, also concerning international cooperation. Just to give an example, among the most important challenges nowadays that you are going to address in your futures is concerned with the transport sectors. If you think about, for instance, artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, electrification, all of this stuff is concerned with the transport sector. Just give an example. Have a look, for instance, at the recent interview of Tim Cook, which underlined exactly this, just to give it the example. As far as I'm concerned, in the transport sector, what we do in Venice, we've been creating over time, in the last 15 years or so, a quite good group of researchers, of junior, senior staff dealing with international cooperation in the field of transport, logistics, mobility, and so on. We've been growing a lot. We were managing more or less in the last 15 years, more or less 1 million euros of international research projects. So we are doing quite a lot of work. So there is definitely opportunities out there in terms of international cooperation, at least as far as the transport sector is concerned, basically. So next slide, please. Let me say something straight in this respect. There are opportunities out there in international cooperation in the field of transport, logistics, and so on. This is absolutely true. But let me just underline one issue to be very, very pragmatic and concrete. If you look at the public sectors, and obviously we are dealing mostly with the public sector here, most of the policies, most of the cooperation at international levels go through nowadays through international and especially European funds. No public bodies, no international cooperation organization won't deal with policies, with other kind of cooperation tools, agreements, and so on, without having the support of international funds, and especially European funds. So this is a very important field of opportunity for you in the future, how to deal with these international funds, because funds are out there are quite good amount of this, but let me say there is a strong, a fierce competition to get these funds in order to promote international cooperation, policies, and so on. This is very important. So you have to compete for European international funds if you want to implement very concretely international cooperation, international policy. Next one. And this is a sample of projects we are doing right now in the field of international cooperation, and especially European cooperation, as far as the transport sector is concerned. Just to give an example, we have Novolog project, which is a European project dealing with the issue of how to distribute goods, basically, at the urban level. This is a very quite important project comprising some 20 European partners, especially municipalities, basically, dealing with this kind of international policies, how to implement more effective, more efficient policies at the urban level, how to distribute goods. Let me just state that we were the first organization, obviously, within the consortium to win this project at European level. Let me just say also, just to give an idea, that the rate of success nowadays to compete to those funds is 5%. 5%. So you have to be competitive if you want to. Another example, and we have another representative here, Trieste Trasporti, is the peripheral access. We are dealing right now to develop innovative services in the public sector, the public transport, to serve peripheral and rural areas. This is another hot point in the European agenda, the European Commission agenda. How to serve mobility in peripheral and rural area, not only in an urban area, but also in peripheral. And we are doing exactly so within a consortium in which also Trieste Transport is involved. Another example is, for instance, let me just give another example, the Super Project. Super Project is, there are some, don't remember exactly, but some more than 10 partners, European partners in the Adriatic Ionian regions. So we are talking about another relevant area of cooperation, international cooperation, dealing with the port action plans. What kind of solution, what kind of measure ports in this area needs to be more sustainable. Sustainability is another keyword for international cooperation. I would add just another example. Adria was another international project dealing with the issue of the cruise sector. The cruise sector obviously is one of the most important sectors in the Adriatic area, not only obviously Mediterranean and globally, but we address the Adriatic area. In this case, we developed some kind of international cooperation tools, agreement, and so on among the public bodies involved in this area, in order to improve the coordination of ports dealing with the cruise sectors. Okay, next one. Okay, just to conclude, you all need to have some specific skills in order to face my colleague from Trieste stress this issue, for instance. What kind of skills you should have in the future? Next one. There are a huge debate nowadays at international level exactly on this question. What makes a professional successful in the job market today and in the future? There is a growing awareness that the traditional tools, basically the curriculum that you prepare, is a necessary tool, but not anymore sufficient tool. Past performance, because traditional tools as a curriculum shows you past performance, which is not necessarily the best indicator for future performance, for future success in the job market. Just to give me, I will show you a quotation from Mr. Bock, from the Human Resources Manager from Google. We were hiring on the wrong criteria, scores, schools, and so on. And these criteria were not predictive of job performance and success. Next one. So these are a list that I leave to your attention. These are the keywords on which currently there is an important debate at international level in the field of human resources management. That could be of your importance. Potential, how to convey your potential in terms of creativity, willingness to work hard, love to learn, and so on. Another example with Baricchio, stresses, correct? Yes. Stresses is the ability to adapt on the fly, to be resilient, to be adaptable. This is a very important skills that future human resources must have. Another keyword is soft skills, which is connected to human aspects of the different professions, the different professional profiles. Again, a quotation for Mr. Kramer, of the CEO of Goodyear. We need people who can let you know that someone is looking out for you. This is very important. Caring about people, be accessible. Another quotation here from Mr. Blocks, developing human connections. These are very important skills nowadays. and so on, and also digital skills. We could discuss a lot on this. Digital skills. Digital skills are very important, obviously, but not only in the specific software and, let's say, computer business, software development, developers, and so on. But keeping in mind that nowadays and in the future, every industry is and will be digital. So the importance should be considered in this way. So, to conclude, the issue here on the table is how to convey all these skills to your future, hopefully future employer. And this is a very, very important educational challenge, and we are here to cooperate if you want to address exactly this. Thank you for your attention, and best wishes for all the activities worked in the next 3 days, I guess. Okay.
Thank you. And now, another representative from the maritime sector, from the Port Authority, Comandante Antonio Cuoci.
Good morning everybody. I am an officer of the Italian Coast Guard in service at Trieste Maritime Direction. I'm very happy that OberMUN, for the second time, take place in Trieste. Italian Coast Guard performs many functions related to the protection of human life at sea and the protection of a marine and coastal environment. It has also duties related to navigation, safety and security. As you well know, in these years, Coast Guard has been engaged in the difficult task of saving the lives of hundreds of desperate people who has been hoping to reach any European countries. As a representative of Coast Guard, I'd like to welcome the delegates of this meeting, and I'd like to thank the organizers of this very interesting event. Thank you very much.
And now, a word from our last but not least head organizer. An applause for Alberto Furioso.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, esteemed delegates, distinguished guests, teachers, and members of the staff, fellow members of the board, good morning. I am proud to be a head organizer of the second edition of OberMUN 2018. Yeah. My first experience with MUNs was last year, 11 months ago, at OberMUN 2017, where I was a social group representative. That day, the first day, my life changed. Since that day, I decided that I would have become the next head organizer of OberMUN. I wanted to give to students the opportunity to experience what I had experienced. And to all the people that for the first time are here today, I want to wish to you a nice experience. Thank you. Water ran under the bridges since that day. I had the wonderful chance to be a delegate in Balmun, in Banja Luka, Bosnia and Herzegovina. And I hope that we can keep on cooperating from this day on. Since that day, more than 15,000 messages were sent, lots of emails, tons of hours we spent organizing this event, and now I'm here telling you in a few minutes the work of 10 months. One of the aims of this project is to enforce the awareness on international issues and underline the importance of an international environment of cooperation to make our world and our songs one better and free of preoccupations. Although this international cooperation between states is fundamental in the modern world, we organizers of this project felt necessary to honor our territory and our neighbors. This idea was stuck in our mind throughout the organization of the project. I am proud to be here in Museo Revoltella, in a city that, in my opinion, is the most beautiful in the world. I want to thank our sponsors, because without them, we wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't be here. I want to thank our institutions for the co-organization and the University of Trieste for the patronage. One of the biggest promoters of equality and peace of the last century, Martin Luther King Jr., once said, and I quote, "If we are to have peace on earth, we must develop a world perspective. We must transcend our race, our tribe, our class, and our nation." Just a few years after the first MUN, this great man fully understood the principles and the spirit of what we will be doing during these days. A statement we should all keep in our minds for the rest of our lives. A man who should inspire us every day. Stay positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Alberto, which was not our last organizer, so I'm sorry. And now it's the turn of another representative, as another guest suggested, of Trieste Trasporti. Michele Scozzai, please come up.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, dear students, dear teachers. First of all, sorry for my English, it's really bad. Trieste Sports is proud to be one of the sponsors of this event. For me, it's a pleasure, it's an honor to represent my company in front of many young people who have decided for 3 days to discuss important topics such as education, science, and human rights. I've always believed, and I'm very convinced of this, that your generation, the generation of people born after the fall of the Berlin Wall, is the most prepared generation ever. You have knowledge and tools that nobody before you has ever had. But if you want to make good use of this knowledge and these tools, then you must never lose awareness of what you are. Never lose awareness of your role and your great responsibility in the community. The quality of your choices and your decisions must guide you on your journey every day. It's about ethics. Fall in love with knowledge, be curious, and slog a lot. Your every action can be an essential contribution to the future and to the quality of life of your family, your city, your country. The Italian school, as you know, is one of the best in the world. If you pay attention to the lesson of your teachers, you will have proof of this every day. But even the best school in Europe cannot help you if you don't work hard every day, and if you are not aware of your strength, of your goals, your limits. There are sharks out there, I know. And when it's cold and the boat is blowing, we all want to stay under the blankets. Making the right choices is sometimes very difficult. But it allows you to go every night to sleep proud of yourself. Newspapers tell us terrible facts every day. But life is not right. Life is like that. But with small gesture and small daily action, you can make the world a better place. And I'm sure that your generation are doing exactly this right now. Today, you are working to make the world and Europe and your city and your school a better place. Thank you for what we are doing, and good work to all of you.
Thank you. This is not all about students. This is about students, and this is about teachers. And this is all about a cooperation between students and between teachers. So a very big applause for our general coordinators, Lorenza Fonzari and Professor Massimo De Forville.
Excellencies, international and national teachers, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Lorenza Fonzari and I'm a teacher of English at OberMUN High School. I'm honored and delighted today to contribute to the opening ceremony of the second OberMUN in Trieste and to welcome you here to this wonderful location in our beloved hometown of Trieste. Today, I look forward to hearing the delegates representing various nations of the world discuss security issues and disarmament and problems regarding cooperative and international policies for refugees in host countries and the incidence of child abuse and more environmental and health-related topics. This is a great day which ends almost a year of constant work, and it starts a 3-day event in these fantastic locations given to us by our regional and local authorities. However, one cannot forget that if OberMUN is taking place this year as well, it is also thanks to the vision of our head teacher, Professoressa Rocco, to my colleague, Massimo De Forville, but above all, to the enthusiastic involvement of a group of our students who took on the project and continued the MUN tradition in Trieste. They were encouraged by our former students to make their beliefs go viral and to repeat the experience of modern United Nations simulations this year too. In addition to this, no OberMUN would have taken place had we not received such generous funding and resources from Trieste companies and associations and regional and local authorities, the University of Trieste, which we will always be grateful for. The world should meet more often than it does today in order to fight social, geographical, and cultural divisions and to achieve a global understanding. During these 3 days, OberMUN delegates representing world nations are going to work together in order to raise knowledge about world issues and to create the awareness about new possibilities ahead of us. It will be a terrific opportunity to exchange ideas and to learn from each other's experience and opinions on how to develop a better society. Change has become a way of life, leading to a better life, to make our tomorrows more rewarding and more meaningful. With your help, we will be able to think very differently and act on the issues before us today. So, let us begin bearing in mind this year's motto, Carpe diem usque ad astra, seize the day to the stars. Thank you.
And now, a word from our school board president, Elena Weber.
Good morning. Thanks to the head organizer for the invitation. It is a pleasure to be here. This is the second time, my second time, for this important and interesting event organized by the students of our school. I think, in my personal opinion, that it is in this kind of moment, in these moments, that we understand the sense of the community of our school. I can say the board of the Liceo Oberdam has, since the beginning, decided to support the OberMUN, the first, and of course the second edition. The board thought that it is important to let students have the chance to organize directly the activities, to discuss about subjects that concern our life, and to do it at a high level of analysis. The board is also pleased of the international connection between students, teachers, and schools. It is, in any case, an added value for their studies. We wait for the result of this MUN, of these 3 days of exchange of opinion. My personal opinion in this moment is connected to our students. They are the center of the school. They are very important, of course, for our school. And my personal wish is that this kind of event, for all the students of our school, can let them be able to reach the star in their own future. Thanks and enjoy.
Before our actual last organizer, I wish to thank Club 41, which isn't here, and I would ask if there are here the representative of region Friuli Venezia Giulia and the city of Trieste. Okay, so if not, a word from our last hair organizers, Marianna Viezzoli.
Honorable chairs, esteemed delegates, distinguished guests, teachers and members of the staff, fellow members of the board, good morning. We, the people of the United Nations, determined to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, which twice in our lifetime has brought untold sorrow to mankind, and to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person, in the equal rights of men and women, and of nations large or small. This is the preamble of the United Nations Charter, a reprimand for all the humanity in order to impede that atrocities as the ones of the worst happen again. I'm very grateful for being here today with all of you as the head organizer of OberMUN 2018, to sanction the beginning of 3 days of vibrant debate, which will see adolescents putting themselves in diplomatic shoes of all over the world, not just to discuss, neither to overcome, but in order to find solutions. The aim of this project had been, since its very beginning, this of propose in our city a moment in which being able to take the distance from our daily life in order to address the big issues of our society, to deal with topics which seems very distant from us, not only geographically speaking, because of the fact that we usually tend to be drowning in our insignificant duties, that we forget that in another country, not very far from where we are, a boy of the same age of us is waving a weapon in this moment. There are moments in our life when being quiet becomes a fault and speaks becomes an obligation, a civic requirement, a moral challenge, a categorical imperative to which we can't remove. The moment has come. In these days, you, coming from different realities, will find yourselves around the table to become the advocates of your future, because looking is not enough anymore. It comes a time in life when you have to act, find solutions to problems like cybernetic attacks, low condition of sanity in reception centers and prisons, the destroy of the world heritage, and so much more. I look up at you, and I see in your gaze the pretension and the bravery to solve these issues, which affect everyone, providing concrete remedies, because the real tragedy will begin only when youth won't change the world anymore. The project was born from a dream of 4 boys who had rolled up their sleeves in the previous edition in order to give their contribute in the world. Today we have here a few of these dreamers, with whom determination the fortune of this event had been sanctioned. This dream, in which I've believed since its very first steps, has seen these 4 guys commit assiduously themselves in order to make the realization of this project possible. 1 year ago, some adolescents like you had made the hazard of making their voice listen, because they realized that only in the debate and in the comparison with the others, our individual freedom can be affirmed. Since it's not because things are complicated that we don't venture, it's because we don't hazard that things are complicated. My OberMUN is that these 3 days of debate will leave an indelible mark in your lives, so that every time you face another problem in the future, whatever it will be, you won't turn your back to it, but you'll deal with it, with a weapon of diplomacy and with the same persistence that you show today. We have the moral duty of becoming and acting according to the expectations we stow in the others. We have to act in accordance to what we believe is much more correct, in order to not allowing anyone one day to define us too younger or too idealistic. We become adult and mature people as soon as we step outside our comfort zone in order to hazard and make our goals achieved. What is success? I believe it's a mixture which consists of understanding the purpose of things you're doing, knowing it isn't enough, that you have to work every day very hard and have a certain sense of the failure so that you'll achieve your target. During these 10 months of hard working, I had the opportunity to cooperate with 3 magnificent people who had employed all themselves in the realization of this project. Looking at them, I can't help but feel very proud for all the efforts and sacrifices that has been done, because in spite of the drudgery, their dedication has allowed us to be here today, being the first-person protagonist together with you of this event. The last year, in other capacities, I had closed my speech with this sentence of Margaret Thatcher, which I believe represents to a T the idea I have of the way life has to be lived, and that I will today bring forward to you. Watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become your character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. What we think, we become. Thank you.
A very special thanks to Marianna Viezzoni and all the other head organizer. The opening ceremony has come to an end. So we're all going to move in Piazza Unità for the official photos, and then after the lunchtime, maybe there is another guest. Okay, great. So before the lunchtime, a word from a representative of our region, Friuli Venezia Giulia.
Buongiorno a tutti e a tutte, mi scuso per il ritardo, ma per noi il venerdì è giornata di giunta. Vi porto i saluti della giunta regionale, della Presidente della Regione e vi ringrazio per questo impegno che avete nei confronti di quelli che sono i grandi temi globali, partendo da una città che è una città che ha saputo nel tempo crescere, mettendo insieme comunità diverse, mettendo insieme saperi diversi e riuscendo quindi in questo modo a creare relazioni di fiducia tra tutte le comunità che la componevano. In questo modo, cioè ragionando su quelli che sono i temi globali, ma partendo da quella che è una situazione, da quella che è la storia di una città, state facendo un lavoro importante che io mi auguro possa portare indicazioni e suggerimenti anche a quelle che sono le politiche che la nostra regione sta facendo per i giovani. Quindi davvero, davvero buon lavoro. Io mi aspetto che da questo vostro lavoro, da questa vostra simulazione, escano, oltre che interessanti ragionamenti su quanto avviene a livello globale, anche indicazioni su come la regione si deve muovere per quanto riguarda i problemi che affrontiamo ogni giorno e che voi, che siete non solo il futuro, perché di solito si dice che i giovani e le giovani sono il futuro del nostro Paese, ma io direi che sono il presente, e quindi disponibilità da parte nostra di ascolto e di accompagnamento in questo lavoro che state facendo. Buon lavoro a tutti e a tutte.
Okay, so as previously suggested, we're now moving to Piazza Unità for the official photos. And after the lunch pause, the lunchtime, we're all going to move to Palazzo della Regione, Regent Palace, also in Piazza Unità, where the sessions will start at 2:30. Thank you all.